Okay, I wanted to make you a video on how to make a box plot. So here's the data. I would pause the video, type this data in your calculator, okay? And then we're going to, here's a look at my calculator with the data typed in. And if I want to make a box plot, I think the fastest, absolute fastest way would be to go back to your home page and go to the pink graph. And then whatever you titled your data, so I titled my data A, put that on the x-axis, A. And what that gives you right now is a dot plot. If you ever need that you can look at this as well. And then you go to menu, plot type, and change it to a box plot. Okay, so I would then hover over all of these pieces. So it tells you that the median is 55.5, Q3 is 65, this right here is 81, and I can see my outlier is 99. I don't know how those little dots got added. There, 31 is the minimum, Q1 is 47.5, etc. So that's probably what I would do is write down those little points and get your 5-number summary. So your 5-number summary is your minimum, Q1, median, Q3, and your maximum. And then, so going back, let's take a look again. Minimum was 31, then 47.5. The median was 55.5, and the Q3 was 65, right? Yep. And then the maximum, even though it's an outlier, it's still the maximum. The maximum is 99. And we have an outlier of 99. Now, the problem might want you to draw a box plot. If so, I would just draw a sketch of what you saw on your calculator, something like this. And I would also recommend labeling each of those. So even though you have them drawn, it's hovering above the axis, so sometimes it's a little hard to tell, like, is this 30.5 or 31 or 32? So just label it just to be safe. Okay. The outlier should be a dot, and then this line would be the next highest number, which on our graph, if you hover over it, it says 81. Another way that you could figure this out is if you go back to your list of data, we could sort it. So if I'm up here in where I labeled it, I could go menu and then let's see, actions. Yeah, menu actions and then sort. And then I would sort ascending. So now it puts it in order. You know, that might be helpful. But in any case, we figured out that 99 was the outlier. And then the next biggest term is 81. So that's why that, that whisker goes out to the next highest number, 81. Let's say that you were told to justify outliers, that you were told to like show work. So here's our outlier formulas. I would put these on a note sheet for the AP test. Anything below Q1 minus 1.5 times the IQR would be considered an outlier, or anything above Q3 plus 1.5 times the IQR. And just as a reminder, the IQR is Q3 minus Q1. So in this case, that would be 65 minus 47.5. So your IQR will be 17.5. Okay, so here if I fill in the information, Q1 is 47.5 minus 1.5 times the IQR of 17.5. Okay, if we type this in our calculator, we're going to get 21.25. So anything below 21.25 would be considered an outlier. But our minimum is 31, so that's why there's no outliers down here. Then doing the other one, Q3 is 65 plus 1.5 times our IQR of 17.5. If I put that in, I will get 91.25. So anything above 91.25 would be considered an outlier, and 99 is our only piece of data that's above 91.25. So they might ask you to justify outliers. So again, I would write these formulas down. Make sure in your box plot your outliers are denoted by a little dot. But otherwise, I would utilize my calculator for the rest of that problem. Another way that you can get the 5-number summary, if you go back to your calculator, if you go to a blank page, you could do menu, stats, stat calculations, one variable stats. I have one list. My list I called A. Hit OK. And then here is my 5-number summary. The minimum, Q1, median, Q3, maximum. There's my 5-number summary. If you need the mean for whatever reason, that's 57.1. But the mean, here, let me write this down. The mean was 57.1, but that is not in the box plot. So if you are ever told to describe a box plot, do not talk about the mean. Okay. So yes, we know the mean, we can figure it out. I know the mean is somewhere in here, but that's not really the important part of the graph. Remember that all of these things are broken up into quartiles, so that means that 25% of the data falls between 31 and 47.5. Here, let me write that a little bit nicer. I'm going to use a smaller pen. Okay. So 25% of the data falls between 31 and 47.5. Another 25% of the data falls between 47.5 and 55.5. Another 25% of the data falls between 55.5 and 65. And then another 25% of the data falls between 65 and 99. Okay, so the upper 25% has a much wider range than the lower 25%. The IQR is this middle box that ranges from Q1 to Q3, and that is the middle 50%, just to kind of keep in mind. So that's kind of box plot in a nutshell. Okay.